What's going on, guys? It's Spunkify here on behalf of MMOBomb.com, and welcome back to the Free Play Podcast, episode 96. Just 4 away. We should have done a countdown. What were we thinking? Just 4 away from the big 100 triple digit 100 episode. Today is January 12th. And it looks like it's 7:12 p.m. at the start of this podcast. I, of course, your host, Spunkify, and I have 2 co-hosts with me today. One of them, the always reliable, ever vigilant Jason Winter. How are you doing, Jason?
I'm doing fine. I am so vigilant and so reliable. I am boring.
Hey, you have to have those people. Those people are the glue that holds society together.
I'm the straight man. I'm the straight man for you guys to play your jokes on.
That's what you're there for. It's great having you. Now, on the other end of things, I should say, not just the other end of anything, but the other end of this podcast, we have our co-host, Lotus. How's it going, Lotus? Or better known as Lotus Bob. I guess that would be your proper name, your proper internet name.
Yeah. But you can just call me Lotus. It's fine, yeah.
No, just Lotus, first name. We're already on a first name basis. It's fine. Lotus, how are you doing?
I'm doing excellent, thank you, yeah.
Great.
I'm doing great, yeah.
Now, Lotus, I can't help but notice, but you don't seem to have an American accent.
Well, maybe the reason for that is because I don't live in America.
Oh, that would make sense. Now, where are you from?
I'm from the UK. I live in London.
Oh man, so it's 7 p.m. here. What p.m. is it there?
It's 3:15 now, so yeah.
I guess it would be an a.m.
3 a.m.
3 a.m. Yeah. a.m.
So it's quite early there, and I can't believe you're here for the podcast. But welcome aboard.
That is the dedication
it's an honor,
we have.
It's
That's a
honor.
dedication we have to this podcast.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's past 9 p.m. for me. I mean, it's past my bedtime. I'm telling you.
Oh my gosh. Well, Lotus is here. I'm glad to have you. If I had the little gif of the standing ovation people, I would put that up here. Glad to have you. Now, Lotus,
man.
No problem. Now, for all new people to enter the gates of the Free to Play podcast, I have to ask a couple of questions, of course. And the first question is, what was the MMO that got you started in MMOs? What was your first one that you experienced?
The first one I remember was Battlefield 1942, I think.
Now, that's not an MMO.
Yeah. Well, it's an FPS, but yeah.
Oh, okay, that's your first gaming experience, I guess. Would you
I guess
say?
so.
What
Does it
about
have to be free
MMOs?
to play?
No, it doesn't have to be free to play. It can be any MMO that you've ever experienced that was like your first.
Okay, Warcraft 3 then.
That's not it. That's like another, yeah. Okay, we'll just take that as an example. MMO being like massively multiplayer, like Neverwinter or Aeon. I'm sorry, I'm putting you on the spot.
It's alright. I need to think about it. Damn, that's a hard question.
He's like replaying his whole childhood in front of him right now, thinking like, what was the first MMO I played? Okay, how about this? What is the what recent MMOs have you played? What have you been gaming and doing recently?
Recently, I've been playing quite a lot of Hearthstone, Dota 2, Planetside 2, and that's pretty much it. I have played a bit of League of Legends lately, but I kind of stopped playing that. But I still juggle between Dota 2 and League. I'm a big MOBA player, so yeah, that's why.
That's good. That means I don't have to talk about them.
Oh yeah, see, we got the MOBA expert here, Dom, and so Dom, okay, I get it. You're more of a competitive, multiplayer gamer versus more, like the traditional MMORPG
casual,
gamer.
man.
I got it. Are you casual? You're talking to me all the time about your Earth Spirit playing Dota 2. Well, I'm glad.
I just told you how so imbalanced that hero is. I didn't say that was that godlike with him.
Don't let his modesty fool you guys. He is an expert at Earth Spirit, a broken spirit, as some call him. But glad to have you on board. We coincidentally have some topics regarding some of the games that you mentioned. So glad to be bringing on an expert in those fields, if you will. But for everybody else, why don't we go ahead and get right into these gaming news topics. Starting off, we have some news regarding SOE, coincidentally, and specifically Planetside 2. And now, Jason, you actually recently wrote an article about this for MMOBomb, and it dealt with some changes in internal workings of the subscription service, which doesn't get a lot of, talking about. And so it's sort of interesting that we're talking about it here, because it seems like a random thing to spotlight, like a change in subscription. But can you tell us a little bit about why this change in subscription was so controversial?
Well, I think it started with the fact that it was just kind of dropped on the Planetside 2 forums. I think like Thursday, like January 2nd or 3rd, like right after the break, right after the New Year's.
Sure.
And it said that what they're going to do is change the Planetside subscription starting February 3rd. They're going to change the premium membership, which is a subscription, whatever. Right now you get 500 station cash per month. What they're going to do is change it so that you got a choice of a single item valued at up to 2,000 station cash. It says the announcement says nearly all items in the game's marketplace will be available for this selection. The player studio bundles, additional exclusions may apply, etc. That got some people wondering because, of course, one thing is there isn't a whole lot in Planetside 2 that's worth 2,000. I think the highest stuff goes up to like 1,000 station cash. So it's going to have to be some choice of a bundle, or maybe you were going to be able to get maybe at most one of those bigger weapons and so on. So
Can you get 2 items? Sorry.
I don't know. That's it. I don't know. They didn't really specify it any more than that.
Well, it did say item, so it did not say item.
Yeah, so that's just one single item. He specifically says that. So of course, with all that and with all the somewhat confusion, John Smedley took to Reddit to try to talk about this and explain why they were making these changes. And even that didn't really satisfy people because there was still, I mean, there was first of all the notion of who knows what this is, as opposed to the 500, which I know what I'm going to get. I'm going to get that, and it's going to be whatever I want, versus 2,000 or not knowing what it was. Smedley also said that one of the couple of things they're going to do is you'd have to log in every month to claim it, so you can't just buy a 3-month subscription and sit on your station cash all the time. Which to me seems kind of silly that if you're not able to log in at least once per month, why do you have a sub in the first place?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like,
Yeah.
Out of all the complaints,
some
that's
people
like
brought it up, but yeah, that was the thing. And he also said that one of their really big plans down the road was to introduce this as sort of the substitute for the station pass, which would be $15 a month, and you'd get membership, subscription, whatever you want to call it, to all SOE games. And you would also get a free 2,000 valued item in each game. But that still didn't go over well. So they announced, Smedley went on Reddit like 2 days later and announced that they were going to just change it back to just the 500 station cash still, but eventually with the plan to make it so that you'd have a $15 a month subscription to all games and still get the 500 cash. And then that brought on people who said, well, I like the old way better. I thought it was good that I get a 2,000 point thing in every game, and some people were still saying no, it's better.
People don't know what they want. They don't know what they want.
And somebody brought up the valid point that all the people who liked it weren't speaking about it in the Reddit post because they thought it was fine, and then people who didn't like it bitched about it, so that got them to change it.
Everyone has different
now they bring
opinions.
it back. Yeah, now everybody's whatever. It's gone back for. I don't think there's been any more changes because as I was writing up the article about one part of it, Smedley announced the change back, and I was like, crap, I got to rewrite the article. So I haven't looked at Reddit since to see if they've changed it again, but I'm going to assume they haven't. It's just kind of a big bit of a mess there between it all.
One of our users actually on your post made a good point. Gross Mond, he said that honestly what they should have done is gone with 2 separate packages and see what took. Package A could be $14.99 with 500 SC a month, and package B could be like $9.99 and allow you to log in every month to get your 2,000 SC item. That would make sense. But sure. I can also see that they wouldn't want to like continuously split up the subscription into more and more finite things.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that you have to watch out for. You can't make an option that's specific to every need and want with players. Of course, there are going to be these 2 sides of the argument saying, one, no, I really like the option of 500, and the other one being like, I don't mind just picking whatever. But, you made a good point about nothing actually cost 2,000 SC in this shop, except for, like, bundles, really, or, like, maybe some expensive weapons. So that makes me think that, did they just put that in there thinking that maybe occasionally they'll put a bundle, or will there always be something that, makes people, because you would think that they're not going to put something in there that's worth, like, I don't know, there's things in the shop that are worth 100, SC, 150 SC. So
I want to say the most expensive guns are like it says 700 to 1,000. So
yeah, it's between 700 and 1,000. I think on regular it's 700.
Do you guys reckon that they're gonna introduce new items into the game so that they can, so like the players could get like a high value item?
That's what I was wondering too. Yeah.
But then that really screws over the free to play player, because then it's like, oh man, if I actually just want to occasionally buy a weapon, this weapon's going to cost up to 2,000 SC. Like that's that would even alienate it further, being that the subscription player would get items that would just cost outright ridiculous amounts in comparison.
That's so right, yeah. I agree.
A part of me wants to say, because it always said, one single item valued up to 2,000 station cash. So a part of me wants to say that most of the time it was going to be like, 850 or something like that. Up to 2,000. Maybe it could be. But it's really only 800. So, yeah.
Or, I mean, that's what I was saying.
Got a little aggressive with the marketing on that.
What if they, I mean, would you feel ripped off if you just got an item worth 150 station cash? You're like, that's way less than the 500 I could have got.
I can't believe that everyone would have gone under the 500 at least.
If they did, they would have they would have a shitstorm on their hand if they did, because people were like, well, why am I even paying for it? It has to be worth at least the amount that they put in the subscription worth. You got to think of it that way. It has to be worth at least $15. Like, basically what SOE is saying is that, okay, you get a couple extra bonuses and then you get this 500 SE a month. But if they're going to ratchet it up to 2,000 SE item instead of 500 SE a month, then it's going to have to be something that makes up that difference, in price, essentially, in terms of like what a player is getting, and then the fact that it's random, so that means it should be worth more since you can't actually select what it is.
And then you had people who were saying, well, I don't want to do this if it means I'm going to get this extra item in every game. If I only play Planetside 2, what's the point of this? Which, again, was sort of like that.
That's a good point, yeah.
But again, that's sort of like the whole... if I can't log in for 3 months sort of deal. It's like, well, you're still going to pay the same thing you were getting before.
Yeah, but why would you pay if you're not going to play for 3 months? Like,
yeah,
you buy the
subscription,
it's
not actually hurting you to do this. I don't know.
Yeah. The only people that I can think that would actually affect are the people who buy subscription in bulk. They buy like 6-month periods, and they're like, well, I can't use 3 months at a time. And I'm like, well, that's just your fault for buying 6 months in a row. I don't know. It does really seem weird that there are people advocating against that. But I think sometimes you just have people advocating for things just to advocate for them because it's a thing that you could do. But I really don't see how that, in particular, if someone was really gung-ho about the fact that you would not be able to log in every month. I can see maybe at most, a 1-month period in between when you log in a game, in the next month. And you're going to complain that you missed 1 month. Okay, I can see that. Maybe it rolls over 1 month. You get like one rollover month. That would make sense. And maybe that would be a compromise.
Well, and even something like doesn't WoW give you the option of being able to suspend your subscription if you're like going to be shipped overseas or something like that?
I've never seen that, and I
think that's an option. I thought that was an option in WoW if you knew you were going to be gone for a really long period of time. But anyway.
Well, I haven't played WoW in like a month, and I have a subscription, so I should have figured something out about. I should have told them I was going overseas or something.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so why don't you guys tell us what you think about the SUE, what you would prefer to actually do, or whether or not you just like subscriptions, whatever.
I personally think that if you decide to pay for something that you think will benefit your gameplay or the enjoyment of your games, then I think that you should be able to choose like the item that you would get like each day or each month, or I don't know how often. And I do think that it shouldn't be randomized, since like you're the payer, right? And you play the game, and like if you, let's say that if they just gave you like a specific amount of cash, like let's say after each month, that'd be like a bit better, so that you would have the choice of buying whatever you want. Like, yeah, that's my opinion.
Someone else had a good suggestion on the Reddit post, which was why not add one of the options for to spend with your item on be a voucher for 500 station cash. So you can get one of those 2,000 items, or if you don't like any of those, you get your 500 to spend on whatever you want.
Yeah, that would
make good sense.
That would appease both audiences, honestly. That would appease both audiences. But then you have, or just have it whereby if you don't claim it, it just reverts to 500 station cash.
No, that's what they don't want, because Smedley talked about people just accumulating it and how that's like a bad accounting thing for them.
Oh, really?
So that was a major part for why they didn't want to do this.
So they're just going to 500 a month, and you can't get it if you miss it. That's just
yes.
All right. Yeah. Then the option that Lotus was saying, yeah, is a good option. We could choose either. I think definitely that would be the best option. But whether or not that's an option that SOE would actually consider and do remains to be seen. So we'll see how this plays out further. But for you guys listening, go ahead and let us know what you personally think, what you prefer and whether or not really this affects you or would affect you if it was something that you would be interested in subscribing to if it was implemented in whatever game you most enjoy. All right, so moving on, we're going to talk about, oh boy, being that it's 2014, I forgot to mention that at the first, hey, welcome to the new year. 2014, we have our first new MOBA of the year. It's pretty great.
This is where you need the soundboard with the sound of cheering or...
Yeah, I can add it in. I will literally add that in. I'll add that in. There we go. But yeah, we have our first MOBA news. Now, of course, that's going to make a lot of people like angry or just upset because MOBAs do that. They're the thing to hate on right now. It's like the cool thing to do. But Deadbreed is a quote-unquote hardcore undead MOBA. I almost said MMO, but it's MOBA. Yeah, I don't know really how it's hardcore, but we'll get into that in a bit. It's 3v3. Teams of 3v3. So it's 3 of you versus AI or 3 of you versus other players. And the big sort of, you know, what's the guy that he throws that stuff in there and whenever he's cooking and he goes bam, like Emerald, yeah. He does like the big, what is that called? What is he?
Bam.
Bam. Yeah, the big bam of Deadbreed is the fact that you can change your heroes from being like melee heroes to range heroes and vice versa. And that changes how you play them. That changes their abilities and how they act and, you know, what's their strengths and weaknesses. So, you know, it gives each hero dual purpose, essentially. And that's completely customizable. The trailer actually shows people, you know, changing out the weapons and the armor. And that also goes hand in hand, of course, with customization. You can completely change a lot of the aspects of how your heroes look. And so it certainly added a new way to take on hero customization. Up to now, it seems like everything related to hero customization has been pretty much through things like masteries and rune pages and not so much physically changing how the hero plays. I mean, we saw a little bit maybe of like Prime World and how you can add in certain items to your like progression tree essentially that changed how your hero leveled up in its strengths, but it never really, to a degree, that changed the abilities and the way it actually fought, like physically from range to melee. So I know, Lotus, you were a big sort of MOBA player. You play a lot of Dota 2, you play League of Legends, you said. I'm really curious. The decision to go to 3v3 is something that pretty much no MOBA recently that's trying to come out.
It's definitely unique. Yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wouldn't say so much unique. We've seen it in League of Legends with like Twisted Treeline. But do you think that's like that could succeed? Do you think MOBAs and 3v3 scenarios are actually fun? Would you find like, because the only example I can really think of right now is Twisted Treeline.
Yeah.
Did you find Twisted Treeline fun?
I personally found it really fun, especially after the remake. For those of you that don't know, they remade it like a year ago, something like that. And I do agree that it's great fun. It's more like a casual game mode than the actual 5v5, the Summoner's Rift. And that's the thing I was worried about. Like, do you think that because it's 3v3, do you think it will be able to get into esports, or is it just like, or that's not the plan, or that's not the aim of the company? They're just like aiming at the casual players, more than like get them professional and then, you know, host esports events and stuff like that. But I do think that making game 3v3 is like potentially making more fun, because like a 5v5 game, I don't know, I'm just talking from experience, but I don't know, I do think that it's gonna be fun. There's 3v3, though there's a drawback that if you have more than 2 friends, let's say, and you wanna play with them, then you can't really, unless you play against them. But you know, that could be fun as well, if that's possible.
Yeah, you make a good point there about like not being able to play with your friends. Traditionally, you know, when new MOBAs come out, friends tend to hop around and try them together, you know, at times. And certainly when you're moving, if you think, you know, let's say Deadbreed is really fun, like you said, you know, some people really enjoy 3v3, and let's say the way they do it is actually fun and people want to try it out, because you mentioned that with Twisted Treeline they remade it and they added a lot of new side objectives with the whole room control and stuff. And Deadbreed had actually mentioned, the teaser site doesn't have very much information, but it did mention that there was like side PvP quests and dungeons that you would be able to do. So they did add like side objectives essentially and it's not just like lane against lane, say.
So do you think that that would be like a big, like like a big creature they fight against, like Roshan in Dota or like Baron in League of Legends?
Well,
so that. Yeah. So.
There's already one. They talk about how at the end of the game you get to choose like a boss that you fight.
Oh yeah.
They talk about having to choose a sentinel boss essentially, and that is what your team fights.
Yeah, I was just wondering that whether like you can fight that like while in the middle of the game, so like you can fight in the forest or something, or in the jungle.
See, that's the thing. There's really no information about. I would assume there would be things off on the sides. I would assume that would have to do with the dungeons. Dungeons typically mean there's monsters in there or stuff like that. But how much is that side objectives like? Oh, we're gonna call this dungeons, but actually it's just camps of monsters.
They want to make them unique. They don't want to sound. They didn't want to make sound as if they were like a copy of another game. Let's say like it's just that maybe they're just using different words so that people don't infer that it's exactly the same, like the jungle camps as in other games, maybe. And
well, you can look at for example. By the way, the creators of Deadbreed, these are the guys behind Just Cause. I actually tried to look for a game company name, like a development studio name, and I could not find one. So I do not actually know. These are just the guys that created the original Just Cause, not Just Cause 2.
It says at the bottom of the page, the game is independently developed by a group of industry veterans from Sweden. Yeah, you're right. There's no company.
There's no company. I looked. I couldn't find an interview. I couldn't find anything about these guys.
They have 3 tweets.
3 tweets. These guys are ghosts. They're creating this. These guys literally are ghosts creating Deadbreed, which is an undead MOBA. They did mention that one of the guys was the creative director from Avalanche Studios. So they do have some senior developers on staff, it seems. His name is Stefan Ungvist, or something like that. Somewhat difficult to actually pronounce. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Ungvist. It's independently made by these guys, and we don't really know too much about like their vision of it. There's no talk right now of esports or anything like that. It's, very early on, all we have is a sort of teaser trailer. It's interesting that they say hardcore, because in a 3v3 scenario, you talk about how it's always sort of like casual. You don't have sort of the.
If it's 3v3, that means it's a little more fast paced. So then it's not like you just stop playing and then kills don't happen for like 5 minutes in the game. And like usually like it's really fast paced, and like kills can happen kills happen really like often and very frequently in the game. So that kind of like contradicts the word hardcore, because by hardcore I would think of something that is maybe I don't know, actually I know it feels weird. I know.
Well, I mean,
by looking at the video and the screens they show you, I wonder if the hardcore aspect of it is what you talk about all the customization, about having 85 different weapons or whatever you can equip to change how you play your character. Because you can certainly see that as being hardcore. I mean, there's different runes and so on, and masteries and whatever you can use, but still you're going to play. Morgana plays like Morgana, and Ashe plays like Ashe. You're not going to turn one of them into like a melee bruiser type. So maybe that's what they mean by the hardcore aspect, or the customization of your character.
I honestly can't imagine how Morgana would play in like a melee bruiser dress. Like, that would be pretty. Like, she's got that big dress, like that'd be pretty interesting. I mean, even in the video, which by the way, I got to make a mention about the video. How convenient was it that woman like, oh, I don't wear armor right here in my chest. I'm gonna get an arrow, stuck it right here in my conveniently exposed chest, which. Who in a battle is going to not be wearing armor? Sorry, it just irks me sometimes when they put completely like, oh, we're going to put sexualization here for convenience and for appeal. But
she draws for power from her cleavage. That's
apparently. Well, it didn't help her there. The guy took forever to shoot the arrow at her. Like he just wound it up and she just stood there for it apparently. Just so the other guy could raise her from the dead. I guess that's the whole plan to begin with. But yeah, it's sort of interesting. When you get a 3v3 scenario, that's less abilities going off. It's less, tactics, because it's smaller in terms of, like, they're less complex tactics maybe, because there's less moving parts. So it's kind of interesting, you know, that's the angle they're coming out with, a hardcore aspect of it. And I'm just curious, you know, we've seen some other games do objective-based PvP in MOBAs. I mean, we have the upcoming Heroes of the Storm from Blizzard. It has like those side objectives that you can do as teams, you know, like collecting things and depositing them in places to get map-wide bonuses, essentially. And then you have, of course, Dawngate from EA, which has the side sort of mines that you can go mess with or capture from the enemy and mess with their supply lines, which directly affects their ability to get resources. But it'll be interesting to see how Deadbreed does that on a 3v3 scale, something smaller, more intimate maybe, but still something that has as long-lasting and as large of an impact to make it worth it, obviously. So there's a couple other notable features, like summonable creatures that you can apparently do through totems, and then there's
that sounds pretty cool.
There's apparently some standing with what are called sentinels, and the outcome of each match determines your standing with them and affects their power. Now, there's literally no information on what sentinels actually are, so I'm not really sure why they referenced it, because it means nothing to me.
I would imagine it's like that big, huge thing at the end of the video.
That's like that's the sentinel bosses they say you can choose.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know. Maybe you have to appease these giant monsters, otherwise you get devoured or something. Who knows, really? It's still very early on, still in a teaser state for sure. But there was one last topic about it that I wanted to mention, and that was in regards to how the specific artifacts work, which are the items. They're implying these are the items that you can equip on your characters. And apparently, you can equip them and slot them with gems, relics that change their stats, etc. But the artifacts themselves degrade over time. It mentions that they actually lose durability, essentially, which seems really that's a huge red flag to me early on in MOBA.
Yeah, because if you buy something, then usually you have it forever. Like, it's not like you buy something. It's not like you buy it and then like, let's say after after using it for 2 weeks, you just kind of lose it, since it wears off and you can't do anything with it anymore. You just have to repair it.
So I'm going to take the optimist approach and think that it's more like armor repair in an MMO, which is some small cost, so you don't usually have to. Yeah, it doesn't usually give you a big problem, but it's something you just got to deal with every now and then. Or even in a World of Warplanes or something, when you crash a plane, you have to pay some amount of money or credits or whatever to repair your plane. Hoping it's something on that somewhat minor level. Yeah,
but I definitely could see it from your perspective, Jason. But we've seen in I think history with free-to-play, relative history with free-to-play games, we've seen that people have not really taken to that so much. MechWarrior Online was a great example of, they initially had that system whereby you had to repair your mech after each game, and it was such a money sink. They eventually repealed it. The gamers repealed it and got the system removed. So I can see it, maybe if it is a huge cost, being a pretty large burden, and if they want their MOBA to be hardcore, certainly making it to where people had to grind and repair these items.
You never know, man. Maybe it's hardcore because of the big monster you have to fight against at the end of the game.
Yeah, or maybe it's hardcore because only the hardcore players could actually afford their items. Only for hardcore, no one else can actually play.
Just call it Whales, the MOBA.
Yeah. Anything though that could potentially cause a discrepancy between styles of play between two characters, your character is innately stronger than their character because they happen to have a piece of item that wore off and broke, and they can't repair it or what have you.
I was wondering, you've got these these items. Do they actually make your hero stronger? Do they just are they just cosmetics?
So there are cosmetic items, it seems, but then separate of that is the items that apparently affect your hero's powers. Are they called heroes? If you're undead and a ghoul, are you a hero, or what are you? Are you a villain? I don't know, but typically they're villains. I guess Frankenstein is half and half. But yeah, so what'd you say?
He's a monster. Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah, they're just monsters. These monsters. But they don't. I don't see any reference of them being called monsters. I don't know. There's so much left to be explained. But I'm curious, Lotus. Would you actually give Deadbreed a try? Does it look appealing to you?
Definitely. It has some some unique effects to it, which none of the other movies really offer, like such as the choosable big hero in the end, or big and the big monster you have to fight against, or like, or the fact that you can change between melee and range. That looks that looks pretty I don't know, but it looks really fun because let's say that you're about to get ganked and like and you feel like you need to be careful, you just quickly change back to ranged and then just keep on CSing. And
Well, what it looks like is you choose outside of the battle. So you choose like in the menus,
oh, okay.
kind of like how you choose your runes or masteries, essentially. So a range hero can be melee, and a melee hero can be range, but I don't think not at the same time. It can't like alternate between the two. So it
that'd
would
be an interesting system to have, like a weapon swap system like Guild Wars 2 or something. But
that makes me curious to know. That makes me curious to know whether or not there's actually like items you purchase in game, or whether all the items that you put on your hero are outside of game, and that is what affects your actual status, if you will, like what health you have or what abilities, obviously, and what the gameplay style. But I wonder how much there will be actual like purchasable items in game in shops, like in traditional MOBAs.
Wait, can you like imagine a MOBA without like buying any regen or like stats or something like that?
There are some MOBAs out there, like really basic ones, where literally all you do is spam abilities. Like even the new MOBA from Blizzard, Heroes of the Storm, like that one I believe doesn't actually have purchasable items either. You just have the abilities themselves that rank up as you rank up. So there's no, there is some watering down in that respect. But if the other features make up for it, it's a lot less noticeable, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll have to see with Deadbreed, and let us know in the comments whether or not it's something that you would be interested in playing. Obviously, some of you are very tired of MOBAs, but there's always, I always look at it like people are tired of MMOs. There's always going to be MMOs coming out, but occasionally you get the breakout ones that really try to change it up and offer something different. All right. Well, finally here we have a discussion, now that we're in the year 2014, this is the year of hope and dreams. We've got the latest generation of consoles out, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, oh my gosh. And then we heard the latest details, of course, with Steam machines. That's Valve's take on, they're basically mini PCs that act as consoles. They are mini PCs, actually, that act as consoles, but mainly for playing PC games, obviously. But in regards to all this, we have this new technology coming out. Games are getting much more graphical fidelity that is increasing, and in general, we're starting to see larger worlds in bigger budgets, not only for buy-to-play and pay-to-play games, but for free-to-play games too. I mean, we have Planetside 2 came out last year, Warframe, War Thunder, and then this year, of course, we've got the EverQuest Next games, and with the new consoles now released, we're starting to see that a lot of developers are making free-to-play games for the new consoles. Specifically, we have PlayStation 4 as a prime example of that. And so we're starting to see these free-to-play games that once were, very easy in terms of, system requirements to get into, starting to become higher and higher requirements, making it, for some, harder and harder to actually get in and play those games. So I wanted to sort of take a moment to talk about where we thought free-to-play was headed for not only this year, but maybe the next few years. Free-to-play traditionally came from a time when, we were still in the Xbox 360 period, we're still in the original Xbox period, we're still in a period where consoles generally were better for a long period of time. And so free-to-play games were browser-based or 2D, coming out of Eastern Asia. And generally, we weren't seeing too much of that from Western developers. But now that we have the larger budgets, we're seeing a lot more of that. So I'm curious for you personally, I'll start with you, Lotus. Have you, as a gamer, as a free-to-play gamer, noticed that games are starting to get harder and harder for you to play somewhat, and you're having to play them on lower settings, specifically free-to-play games? Have you noticed that at all?
Yeah,
or do you
definitely.
have a good computer?
No. Like I bought a new computer like last year. And I remember I was struggling and I was so like pissed all the time because I couldn't play any games literally. Like my computer was like let's say 5-6 years old, and I didn't really replace any of the components. So I was like, just screw it, I'll get a new one because it was like pretty old anyway, and like I would have to get a new new motherboard. So like I was like, why not just buy a new one? But I remember those times, and I remember I was struggling really badly. Even like some basic games, I just couldn't even run properly, and like I was like hoping to play with some games with really good quality, like graphic quality, and I just realized that I would not be able to do this since my PC is just so bad, let's say, that I just couldn't afford it. And so I came to the conclusion that I definitely need a new computer because I don't think it's worth playing a game on like let's say minimal settings. Well, not minimal settings, but like not enjoyable settings, if you know what I mean.
For
Because
sure.
like you buy a game or you get a game so that you enjoy it. You don't get it just like let's say survive playing it. Like I find game fun when I enjoy it, and like, I can't really enjoy a game if it has like if it's like really pixelated and stuff. Let's say. So yeah, but now that I have a good computer, it's definitely more enjoyable. Yeah.
So, Jason, I did have a question for you. Um, when it comes to, I know for
Go
you,
ahead, talk about my crappy computer.
you have,
I have the old computer that I haven't been able to replace yet, unlike Lotus.
yeah. Well, in regards to the old computer, have you noticed, like, in the past years, you know, you played a lot of Lord of the Rings online. Have you noticed newer free-to-play games that you have tried to try out? I mean, didn't you just say that you had an issue with War Thunder? You were trying to play Ground Forces, and you couldn't play Ground Forces?
Yeah, because the beta is only requires DX11, and I still am running a crappy old video card that's DX10. And I say that's going to still be supported in the final version, but just for the current for the beta, it wasn't allowed. And actually, funny you mentioned Lord of the Rings Online. It's just that with the last expansion, or the one before that, which introduced Rohan, I think it's all the grasses they have up that you see in Rohan that I'm having a lot of frame rate issues, even playing that as well. And I think it's yeah between that and the newer games, I get like 20 25 frames when I play. Well, I guess 25 to 30 when I play War Thunder, around 20 when I 15 to 20 when I stream if I try that. So it's still somewhat watchable and playable. But I think the issue is that just like we talk about people kind of not really caring as much about free to play versus other types of games just in general with what they're going to play,
Mm-hmm.
I think studios are feeling that same way with in terms of what they're putting into them. Like they don't think of free to play games as just some quick little thing with with simple graphics and simple gameplay that we're just going to put out there and make it easy for everyone. They're seeing that now as a legitimate way to make big games. To make I don't know, we haven't really seen I guess like a huge blockbuster game like Grand Theft Auto 5 is or Skyrim or something like that. We haven't seen that in free to play. But they're acknowledging that it's not that isn't what determines necessarily. They're more comfortable spending the money on the big games, on the big productions than they were in previous years. I think that's why we're seeing higher graphical requirements on those kind of games because they're allowed to put that kind of money and effort into them a lot more.
Yeah, and like if we look at just SOE as an example, their latest two MMOs, Planetside 2 and the EverQuest lineups, use a very, very fairly advanced engine, you know, which a lot of people were complaining with in terms of performance-wise for a long period of time after Planetside 2 was released, a whole year. And I would imagine that EverQuest Next would have the same sort of issues. You know, they're voxel-based. There's obviously a lot of things involved in processing all of that. And, you know, you really start to think, well, how many people is this going to, you know, not be able to be playable by? In terms of free-to-play gaming, you know, for those who are really into free-to-play gaming, this may be very disheartening because they can see what they can play. Like, for example, we recently did a first look on Eldevin, a browser-based game that I'm certain that many people can play. It uses JavaScript, which has been available for a long time, and it is a new MMORPG, but because of the fact that it uses, you know, older technology, a lot of people don't see it as very appealing. But there is a group of people rather that cannot play anything maybe better than that. And even browser games are starting to use, say, the Unity engine. And I know a lot of people cannot run the Unity engine because it is graphically very expensive for their computer to run. So we're starting to see sort of these games move into the new era whereby, like you guys were saying, free to play and buy to play are sort of going hand in hand in terms of what's being put into them.
Yeah, so what I was thinking is that that back in the days, usually developers and game companies usually try to appeal to everyone, and they were happy when they appealed to like as many people as possible, and they didn't really care about as much about the graphical qualities. I mean, obviously they wanted to have some decent qualities, but like graphic qualities, but they just wanted they wanted more people to play the game, more and more people to play the game, and like if let's say also because like the new gen consoles have come out, it's just kind of encouraged game companies to like create games with better graphics, and maybe they didn't think that that would kind of affect the community because not everyone can afford to run those games.
Yeah, Lotus, like I was saying, was basically how the developers themselves from the West now, they're putting a lot more effort into free-to-play games. They're seeing that these are areas that are very lucrative for them, and so they're investing not only a lot of money into it, but also you got to remember that the technology now to make really good-looking games is very cheap. You know, it's a lot cheaper than it was even just a few years ago when free-to-play was starting to get going, so we're seeing a lot more higher quality games. The problem is, I don't know, as many gamers have been, upgrading to sort of match and go along with that. So it'll be interesting to see, say, in the next few years, how many gamers feel they're being alienated from that which they were comfortable with free-to-play. Of course, there'll be games coming out that, they can play with the current system, but it'll be curious to see how many people really start to feel the pressure of, having to, upgrade to keep up to date with even just free-to-play games versus in the past when, free-to-play games typically used less graphics than their buy-to-play brethren, essentially.
And as we've talked about a lot too, with free-to-play games now more than coming to consoles, the consoles being these, basically brand new PCs with awesome graphics and so on. Mm-hmm. When those get ported over to PCs, they're going to have this similar kind of requirement. So because they want to be on consoles more, that raises the bar for what you need on PC as well.
Exactly. So then the question becomes, do you buy a new PC or do you buy a console? Like, which one do you get more out of? And that is the question. That's the age of
Steam machine.
Currently, no, you don't buy a Steam machine.
Yeah,
they're way more expensive than they're worth right now. It's like you might as well just buy a PC. That's like a whole nother topic of discussion. But for free-to-play games, let's just say Steam machines are not the way to go. Shouldn't go that way. All right, so why don't we go ahead and move on then to the bombs and A-bombs for this week. So I will go first, of course. The bomb this week will be for Platinum Games. For those of you who don't know, Platinum Games is a developer out of Japan that is bringing Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, originally a PS3 game, and Revengeance not being an actual word, but they're bringing it from the PS3 to the PC, and they actually did a good job of it. I picked it up. It's actually really fun. It does need a joystick to be complete, or a gamepad rather, to be joystick. I can't imagine playing the game with a joystick. Gamepad to be completely, playable and actually smooth. But it's not as bad as the Dark Souls port. I will say that it's really pretty good, pretty solid. They've added some graphical features, and the actual issues that it did have at launch, because inevitably there was going to be some. They were resolved literally within hours and not weeks, which is a huge. I have to give them huge props for that because we don't see that from a lot of Western developers. You can look at Creative Assembly as an example of Total War Rome 2 being a game that has been patched multiple times over weeks and months and still isn't quite right. So,
don't remind me of Total War.
Oh, Total War.
Don't remind me of Rome 2.
It's that bad. But yeah, bravo for Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. You guys should check it out if you like slashing things into tiny giblets. It's always fun.
So if I'm not mistaken, this game makes Raiden actually cool.
Oh man, he makes him amazing. He's like
then it's an incredible game if it makes Raiden.
I know, like he actually comes into his own and doesn't seem like a wimp.
Oh wow,
it's pretty awesome. Now, Jason, what was your bomb A-bomb for this week?
My bomb is to kind of rediscovering board games on my PC. Over the Christmas holidays, one of my followers bought me some games on Steam, gifted me a couple of games, gifted me the Settlers of Catan on Steam.
Really?
And also another game I haven't gotten a chance to try yet called Small World 2, which is by Days of Wonder, which did a lot of games that I liked when I was playing physical board games, including, and then I found they had Memoir 44 online, and that is free to play. That is a free thing that I downloaded off Steam. All this is on Steam, and I've been playing some of that too. So it's really great being able to kind of relive some of my old memories. And maybe we should do. I'm thinking maybe we should do a Memoir 44 live stream.
We could totally do that. I have no idea what that game is, but I will.
It's like a World War II board game where you play like little scenarios.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Yeah, definitely. Now, I have to ask you, out of all of those ones that you downloaded, which one was the best translated to PC?
I'll admit the Catan. The worst thing about Catan is that it's not multiplayer.
What?
I don't. Yeah, I know.
I don't get that.
I've heard there's a version on the Xbox 360 that is, so there's that, but the PC one is not, which is silly. I haven't played Small World 2 yet. I'm enjoying the worst thing about Memoir 44, if anybody's ever played it, is taking the time to set up the damn thing, because you have these boards that you have to just put all this different stuff on, different town pieces, forest, hills, all your troops, and so on. The computer, it's just done automatically, so that's awesome. But I have played a lot of Catan, mostly through the scenario, so the AI can be questionable at times.
It cheats?
No, just stupid.
Oh, okay. That kind of questionable, I see.
That kind of question. And the translate, oh god, don't get into the localization. Yeah.
That's what gives it its charm, you know? That's how it gets its charm. Now, yeah. Lotus, what is your MMOBomb for this week?
My MMOBomb goes down for Blizzard, and it's about Hearthstone. I know that many people, that some people can't access the beta, and those who did not sign up for it. And even though the open beta is going to be here soon, I just think that Blizzard are doing a great job for keeping the game balanced. And even though it's not out yet, they are using season resets, because there's a ranked mode for those of you that don't know, and you can climb yourself up the ladder. And I just feel like that this is a great way of keeping the game balanced, so that newer players don't get to, let's say, face up against someone that is very experienced in the game and have, let's say, a lot stronger deck than like someone who's like a total beginner. Like, yeah. And I just feel like that since Blizzard has been making buy to play games, or pay to play games mostly, it's just a great thing that they know they managed to balance the game out and not making pay to win with the in-game shop, and yeah, that's it.
Well,
they're just luring you in. The first hit's free. No.
Yeah, at first you see it's free, and then you realize I need so much gold and dust to craft everything. It takes forever.
Well, that's true.
No, but I do actually think that free to play is a natural progression for Blizzard, because think of how beloved their iconic characters are. Essentially, I mean.
Oh yeah.
They're pretty iconic. Everybody seems to know them. So making it free and accessible to everybody, you're gonna get everybody who's wanting to, who's ever played a Blizzard game, to want to join in, and at least check it out. That being said, I still think I'd have to disagree with you slightly, Lotus, in that Hearthstone, the pay to win is strong. No, it's not strong with that one. It's masking itself just slightly. I think there's some slight hint.
I have read some posts on Reddit that some guy just bought like 30 packs of
cards.
Cards, yeah, and basically like his win ratio like improved from, let's say, like 45% to like 65%, because he was able to get the cards that were essential and that were really powerful, and some people like can't really get that. And for me, I've already opened, let's say, 30 to 40 packs, and I still haven't got a single legendary yet.
Oh man!
But
guys,
yeah,
it's a CCG. CCGs are pay to win, essentially.
Even in real life, yeah.
Yeah, you have to spend money to get the cards. That's how it works.
Yeah, because
Jason's over here just being like, that's just how they are.
It's been that way for 20 years.
We're new to this, Jason. We're new to this. Jason's been like,
the Gathering. Come on.
I've actually just gotten into Magic the Gathering just now gotten into
it. Oh yeah, some guy, like one of my friends, bought Magic 2014 for me, like as a Christmas present. So I've been playing that quite a bit, and I was just like kind of comparing it with Hearthstone. But I still think that I prefer Hearthstone, but it's just the way with the blocking system. I don't really like that in Magic, but I still think it's a great game though.
From Magic, everything else was born. I'm sure that's a little bit of a discrepancy. I'm sure there's other card games. But yes, Magic has a huge influence on a lot of the other TCGs and CCGs that are currently out there. Now, going towards member bombs, we have one from Urs OO. It's either Oso or Urs 00.
00.
Urs 00. He says, the bomb for Steam. The sales were amazing. I bought the Orange Box, the entire Splinter Cell series, the Deponia series, and Machinarium. Everything for less than our Russians $150, which is around $63 in US currency. But GOG, which was Good Men Gaming, I believe, was also amazing. I got Fallout 1 and 2 and Tactics for free, and bought the entire Catacomb series, Hocus Pocus, and To the Moon for like $10. Amazing sales. Great games, about 20 games for $73, along with the free-to-play games I am already playing, like Rift, World of Tanks, League of Legends, Warframe, and Terra. Overall, an amazing end of the year. Finally, I have no time for socializing. I need to game all day now.
I wish I was this guy, that I would have the time to play all those games.
I know. I look at that, I'm like, maybe
I told
one.
you, I have that Small World that I haven't played yet, and there's another game I bought I haven't played yet. It's just like,
I literally buy a game right now, it seems, play it for maybe 2 hours, and then never touch it for like 4 months. That's basically what happens right now. And then
you're a busy man, though. You're a busy man. Both of you are, so it's totally understandable.
Yeah, we've got bills to pay, my young friend. Bills to pay. Lotus, why don't you go ahead and read this next one here?
Sure. Shashu33 says, the bomb, to MMOBomb, I love you guys. Well, thank you very much.
Oh, look at him taking all the credit right now.
I don't know.
No, it's just, you know, it's a part of the MMOBomb community. Like, you guys are the hosts, I'm just like the part of the community. I'm just like, I know, I'm just saying thank you because...
Oh, okay. We're thinking you're just absorbing all the credit for yourselves. Like, man, look, he's been on the podcast for like 40 minutes and he already thinks he runs the show.
No.
Well, great to have you, Lotus. Yeah.
I knew my placement.
Don't worry about it, man. No problem. All of our places are the same. There's really, I mean, come on. It only took you an hour. It only needs to be like an hour for you to realize how this podcast is run. I mean, there's no one above anybody else here. But in terms of the question of the week, this is something else that we're going to talk about. What was your favorite gaming moment of 2013? I will ask you that, Lotus. What was your favorite gaming moment?
I didn't prepare for this.
I know you didn't prepare for this. This is off the cuff, man. Come on, let's do this.
That's how we do. You want to take the credit? You got to walk the talk.
Yeah, you got to talk the talk if you're gonna walk the walk.
I
think it's backwards.
No, it's the other way around.
Yeah.
Whatever. Say something.
Damn.
He already walked the walk. Now he has to talk the talk.
No, he talked. Now he has to walk.
Right, my best memory was probably when I was playing Hearthstone, and I was playing the mage. Which is one of the classes, and then I was playing against a druid, I think, and he had like literally six creatures on the like out the field, and I had 1 HP left, and like all of his creatures had like 7 or higher attack than that, and basically I was just able to pull out a Pyroblast, which deals 10 damage to the enemy hero, and he had 10 health, so I was just so lucky with that, and I managed to win the game like somehow, which is like totally pure luck, but still, you know, it just made my day.
That's the best thing about TCGs and CCGs, like all top deck luck, man. The top deck gods were with you that day. But are you sure you're not like a paid Blizzard associate? Like, you're just really you're like, oh, Blizzard, no. Just kidding. Yeah, great moment. No.
I know. I've never really played neither WoW or StarCraft, and this is my first game from Blizzard, and I'm just really enjoying it because I've played with all of the trials with Diablo, CS2, SC2 and stuff like that, but still I just don't find them as enjoyable as Hearthstone. Maybe it's just because it's easy to pick it up. I don't know.
I am giving you a hard time. That is what is occurring right now. It's alright, man. We actually had some other people chime in. A guy that's called Swedish Bro. He's like my highlights. For some reason, when I heard his name, I just had to think of the Swedish chef from from Muppets. And so when I started thinking of a Swedish chef, I can only read his answer in the Swedish chef's voice. But I'll let someone else do that in that voice. I'm going to read it in normal voice because I don't... Sorry. Yeah. Swedish Bro says, my highlight was in League of Legends ARAM mode, where I, as Gangplank, scored a pentakill against an incredibly fed and opposing team. It certainly made my day. Haha. I have to mention that his English was a little bit broken, so I cleaned it up and made it into a little bit more of a concise.
He's Swedish.
Yeah, he's Swedish.
Hey, you can't expect me to like, have perfect English. Yeah. I know how that feels, man. Like I've had a few pentakills in these belts, and I know like how rewarding it feels, and yeah, I know it's great.
Lotus is connecting with the viewers tonight.
I might have had a double kill once.
You might have had a double kill?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. Is it proof? Screenshot?
No. I have no evidence to back it up. Sorry.
No. Look at us both, me and Lotus, like, rule number 1, back it up. Gotta take screenshots of those accomplishments in MOBAs. Jason, why don't you go ahead and take the next guy here.
All right, this is from Tall Short.
Tall Shorty?
Tall Shorty?
I don't know, maybe.
Anyway, he says, the best thing about 2013 in gaming for me was to see the MMOBomb staff deal with the changes and really start to come into their own. Aw. This episode was probably the best all year. You guys really getting settled in, and it's nice to see. Good luck to you in 2014. Hopefully some games worth getting excited over release and give you guys something to be passionate about.
Hey, Jason.
So hopefully no more MOBAs.
One nice guy, huh?
We hit puberty, Jason. We came into our own. We hit puberty.
I like girls now.
Yeah, we like girls now. Well, I mean, MMOBomb is not very old, so yes, we're growing. Everybody's proud of us. We're so nice. Yes, thank you so much for your words, Tall Shorty. We will continue to blossom into our own and hopefully continue to provide great content for you guys, as well as expand. We're always trying to expand, and trust me, that is a huge goal of mine. All right, so finally, the last one here. Lotus, I'll let you go ahead and take this last bit here, since you're so integral to this podcast now.
We couldn't do it without him.
Yes.
Alright, so Hunter XK5 says, my favorite gaming moment out of 2013 was Smite Assault match where my friend Yosek and I single-handedly killed 4 out of the 5 members of the enemy team, taking out one of their towers in the process.
Clearly, this is because Hunter XK5 is not human and is some sort of robot or android.
Yeah, obviously.
Well, look at his friend, Yosek. That's clearly not a human name.
Yeah.
That's like
an alien, I believe.
The alien and a robot playing,
yeah.
Smite, that's like 10 players playing.
They broke the game, yeah.
Yeah. Hunter XK5, he single-handedly killed 4 out of 5 because he had like the heat-seeking rockets and jet boots, not poots. I don't even know.
He's
what
got the
poots
skills.
All right, so yeah, he does have the skills. He's uploaded his programming. He's good to go. Now, alrighty here. So that's going to go ahead and wrap up then our viewer questions or viewer responses for the question of the week from last week. This week's question of the week is: what do you think the future of free-to-play will look like in 5 years? So in the year 2019. What do you think free-to-play will look like? Will it exist? Will we all be dead to radiation poisoning from Fukushima? Who knows? There could be all kinds of stuff happening. We don't know. But so what exactly do you guys think?
We're going to go beyond free-to-play. They're going to pay us to play their games.
Yes. We're going to basically hook ourselves into their system, and they're going to pay us for us to provide the life force that powers their MMO.
Oh God, it's the Matrix.
It's the Matrix. That's what's going to happen, guys. All right, glad to have you guys here. Lotus, it was awesome having you on this episode here.
Oh, it's an honor, man. It's a pleasure. Thanks.
And
Thanks
I have to ask, Lotus,
I
I have to ask, do you have some sort of social media that you would like people to contact on you? You know, if they want to become fans of you?
Oh, definitely. I've got my YouTube channel, though there's not much things in it. But it's youtube.com/TheLotusBob, and yeah, that's
The Lotus Bob or Da Lotus Bob?
It's The Lotus Bob.
Okay.
Yeah, THE. Yeah.
I would have. Da Lotus Bob is cool too. You know, like.
The bomb. You know?
Da Bomb, Da Lotus Bob,
The bomb. Yeah,
Da
I know.
Bob.
I've never thought of that. So
Da
yeah,
Bomb.
it's maybe in the future I'll change it, but from now on, right now it's just The Lotus Bob. So yeah. I know, I'll keep it that way.
When you get famous,
but...
you just drop the and then you just become Lotus Bomb. That's how Facebook did it. They dropped the
oh,
D.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Haven't you ever seen Social Network? Like, that's how...
Of course I have, yeah, of course I have. Like,
just drop the V and you become famous. The V, and you become famous.
Thanks for the advice, man. Thanks for the advice.
No problem. Jason, what is your contact information?
You can get in touch with me on Twitter at WinterInformal, and I also stream occasionally at twitch.tv/JasonWinter, and you can find me ramble on even more so at jasonwinter.wordpress.com.
He's got so many ways for you to contact him.
I do have a YouTube, but I never do anything with it, so never mind.
You got to do something with that. Then you can have every form of the spectrum covered.
I have a Google Plus too, but I don't like to admit it.
I think everybody has Google Plus now at this point. I think Google has forced everybody to have Google Plus.
I also have a live journal, but that I haven't touched that in like 5 years. So.
I have a Zanga. I don't remember what it's called.
I do not have a MySpace though.
No, I burned that a long time ago. Lotus is so young, he doesn't even know what MySpace is. He was like in elementary school.
MySpace is like, he doesn't know what MySpace is.
But you were like, what, 7 at when MySpace was popular? Who knows?
Well, I've never used it personally, but you know, like I know what it was like.
And you were like 7 when I don't know what it was like. Magic the Gathering?
Oh, Jason, stop, Jason.
Come back.
My personal Twitter is Spunkify, SPUNKIFY. And then you can also send me emails, you know, if you just want to chat it up or do some LARPing online, maybe. Michael at MMOBomb.com. I promise we will have some fun if you start emailing. I love to email you guys back. It'll just be legal fun, though. No illegal stuff here. Sorry, I'm not going to have any cyber conversations with you guys.
God, man.
It's not going to happen.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, Lord. Okay. This is how we end every podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Until next time, this has been Spunkify in the cast, and we'll see you guys later. Spunkify out. Later, guys.